Hello, guys. Today we are going to practice rounding decimals. And the poem we're going to use is the same one that we used for whole numbers. So it goes find the number in its spot, go next door and see what you've got. Five or more, raise the score. Four or less, let it rest. All the numbers to the right run to zero in a fright. So let's take a number and let's look at how we would round. And let's start with the nearest tenths place. Okay, so if I have a number, let's say 58 and 702 thousandths. Okay, here's my decimal point right here. So when I go to find the number in its spot, this right here is connecting to what I'm rounding it to. So if it says find or round to the nearest tenths, then the digit I need to go look for is whatever is in the tenths place. If it says round to the nearest hundredths, then I need to go find the digit that is in the hundredths place. So since we're rounding to the nearest tenths, I'm going to find the number that is in the tenths place. I'm going to put a box around it. I'm going to go next door. We always go next door to the right. Excuse me. All right, when I see what I've got a zero. And a zero is four or less. So if you think about a big hill and you've got numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Anything that is four or less, so any of these numbers, we're going to let it rest, we're going to leave our number alone. So this number in the box is going to stay a 7. We're going to leave it alone. Like if your mom says, hey, I need to rest, let me rest. She wants to be left alone. Don't bother her. We're not going to change the number. We're going to leave it alone. We're going to let it rest. So um, that part's done. And then all the numbers to the right, so everything that is to the right of the box is going to run to zero in a fright. So we're going to change all of these to a zero because we're caring about the nearest tenth. So here we're going to leave everything to the left the same. The 7 is staying the same. And if everything is running to zero, then I can just leave those off because there's no value in the hundredths. There's no value in the thousandths. So I can write it like that, or I can just leave it off. So 58.7, 58 and 7 tenths is how we would write that number rounded to the nearest tenths place. All right, let's try another. All right, this time let's round to the nearest hundredths. So let's say, what's an N? Hundredths. All right. So let's say we've got 45 and 467 thousandths. All right. So here's our number, and we want to round to the nearest hundredths place. So when I find the number in its spot, I'm going to find the hundredths place. So here's my hundredths place, two spots over from the decimal. And I'm going to go next door and I'm going to see what I've got. I've got a 7. So a 7 is over on this side. So all of these numbers that are 5 or more, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we're going to raise the score. So this number that is in the box, we're going to raise it. We're raising the score. We're going to raise it by 1. So because this 7 is 5 or more, it's going to bump the 6 up to the next digit, which would be 7. So my new answer, excuse me, would be 45.47 or 45 and 47 hundredths. Remember this part about all the numbers to the right run to zero. Technically, I can put a 0 here, but I can also just leave it off. It has no value. So most of the times when you look in the answer choices, it will have that taken off. It'll just be this right here, 45 and 47 hundredths. All right, there's that. Now, let's round to the nearest ones place. Okay, so let's take this number 67 and 216 thousandths. All right, so find the number in its spot. My spot is the ones spot, so I'm going to come box the ones place. I'm going to go next door and see what I've got. I've got a 2. And notice I had to jump over the decimal and go to the next spot over, which is my tenths place. So my tenths place is going to tell me what to do. In this case, 2 is 4 or less. Two's right here. So this is 4 or less. This is the one where I'm going to let it rest. So I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to bother it. I'm not going to change it. This 7 is going to stay the same. Okay, so my answer would be 67. And again, all the numbers to the right, so all of these guys are running to 0. So these are all going to change to zeros. And 0 has no value, so I could just leave it at 67. All right, so there's 3 examples of how you would round something to the tenths, hundredths, and ones. And again, this poem can help you find your answer and help you decide what you're going to do. So thanks for watching.